the best goalkeeper that you or I have ever seen play for Liverpool. People will talk about Ray Clements, and I think before him it was Pepe Reina for us.
Yeah.
But the difference that he's made in the space of 1 year is stunning, isn't it? Because it's not just the fact that he's a brilliant goalkeeper, he genuinely changes so much about the way the team plays.
Yeah, I mean, we've had our different opinions about Adrian so far. It's fair to say you're
Comes to blows.
You're a bigger fan than most.
I'm a big fan of Adrian.
But yeah, it was nice for like an entire year, kind of up until his injury, really, to kind of not even have to have a conversation about the goalkeeper, because it felt like really since kind of Reina left, but it was just a constant problem. Klopp kind of tried to fix it with Karius, took a bit of a shortcut there, didn't work. But as you kind of mentioned the other day, the whole thing of bringing in Karius was that he wanted a goalkeeper who actually suited how he played, which Mignolet never was. Karius stylistically might have been that, but in terms of actually doing the goalkeeper thing of keeping shots out, obviously didn't quite work out as we would have wanted, and everyone knows what happens in Kiev. But yeah, I mean, I think people were questioning at the time why we're spending 68 million, I think it was, or 66 million for Alisson. But I mean, they've just shown it there, the Napoli save. That moment essentially is a difference between Liverpool spending the rest of last season in the Europa League, in which case none of what happens afterwards, you don't get the Barcelona moment, you don't get Madrid. So yeah, I think you can make an argument, obviously. I think all the front three are kind of important in their own way, and I think most people would say that Van Dijk is arguably our most important player in terms of transforming the defence. But I think, yeah, you can't really look beyond Alisson in terms of kind of his transformative impact, and just like in general, the crowd at Anfield are not kind of scared whenever the goalkeeper gets the ball anymore. Although with Adrian, that's a little bit different, but.
Right, they've wheeled out the little grey-haired fella who looks a bit like a ventriloquist dummy, which means we are about to actually see some names come out the hats. It's going to be Cech and Schneider, by the looks of it, that are actually doing the draw, and they're going through them. And isn't it boss that Liverpool are on the very top of the list, not just in pot one, but right at the top of it, Dan, as the kings of Europe.
That's what we are. That's exactly what we are. Do you remember up until last year we were what, pot three? We were still pot three last season, and we were the group of death makers, weren't we? Everyone wanted to avoid us because we were the ones who made the group an awful, deathly experience. But now we're top of the tree and looking down at the rest, and
some good badges in there.
Yeah, what's your favourite, Dan?
I'm a big fan of that Lille one, just being a big massive dog.
Ah, yeah,
it's good. That's to the point. What about you?
I like the. I could be mistaken here. I like the Olympiakos one. Very Greek.
It's interesting what they're talking about at the moment. Can't believe you just said that.
Really good.
Basically,
this is the culture that the people have come to the stream for.
What's your opinion on the fact that they divvy them up between television? So basically, there's got to be, what they just said there is that Barca will be in one half of the group and Real will be in the other.
One half of the draw.
Draw, sorry, yeah.
It just makes sense, though, doesn't it?
It does, but it just feels a little bit like an open draw, or as open as you can get. It's kind of... Basically, Liverpool will know by the start of this one which group they're likely to get. What sorts of teams they're likely to get.
No, it's all engineered, isn't it? Even down to the seeding. You know, it's nothing like an open draw. They're just constantly taking teams and putting them in places, and it's as close to just picking the groups as you could possibly get without just going and doing that, really. Unless you did subscribe to David Moyes' warm balls theory.
What did he warm them with? Did he put them in the micro?
I don't know, or whether he thought there was something inside them, like they were just like full of like gravy that they took from the canteen or something and put in, and that radiated outwards.
Maybe you just sit on it like an ostrich laying an egg and just wait for it to hatch.
Doing it.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, let's say Liverpool get in Group A and Barcelona are in Group B, then they're automatically likely to get Real Madrid, for example, because Barca and Real have got to be split. Whereas if Barcelona are in Group F and Liverpool are in Group A, all of a sudden Real Madrid, you can get rid of E, F, G and H for Real Madrid, which means Liverpool, it's a 1 in 4 chance of drawing them. I
was reading something the other day based on that. Someone had done all of the mental maths that goes with it, and basically figured out that with everything in, to do with who can get who, countries being split up, the seeding, and also the TV thing, the team that Liverpool are most likely to actually draw from pot 2 is Atletico Madrid. Because of all the way the stuff works out. So even though, in theory, Liverpool are in pot 1 and they can get any team from pot 2 aside from Tottenham Hotspur, it's not actually an even chance.
No.
It's apparently very, very likely we'll get either Atletico or Shakhtar Donetsk, and then the probability for everyone else drops away and drops away and drops away until I think Real maybe were the least likely or something like that. So as much as you can look at the pots and go, well, who do we want and who do we think will get and whatever else, there's all kinds of arithmetic behind it that makes such and such more likely than someone else.
Scott Lukehart says Davy Moyes' Gravy Balls Ultras, which sounds like
I'll get that on a banner and take it to Shakhtar if that's what he's suggesting. It sounds fantastic.
A couple of people are asking.
Chelsea are in pot 1.
Oh, it's because they won the Europa League, of course. But if you're any other team not within the vicinity of St. Petersburg, you want to draw Chelsea because it's relatively close and they're just not very good in my opinion. Or they're certainly they're developing.
Here we go. Wesley Sneijder is circling the balls as we speak.
It's worth mentioning as well. People are asking where is the draw. It might just be worth mentioning that the draw is us. Ultimately, isn't it? It's.
Oh yeah, we are not UEFA or BT Sport. We are not broadcasting the draw here. Wesley Sneijder's just pulled out Paris Saint-Germain. We will tell you what's happening in the draw, so do stay. But unfortunately, we will not be broadcasting it. We are the alternative UEFA Champions League draw, not the official one. I am not that ventriloquist dummy man. I am not going to go through 5 minutes of rules with you.
I could be Wesley Sneijder on a good day.
You could, mate. The second half of the stream is just Christian taking free kicks really badly. He's pulled out Bayern Munich now. None of this is that important. It's just basically what letter they're all getting corresponded to, isn't it? So Bayern Munich have gone into Group B. Paris Saint-Germain are in Pot A. And we'll see where the rest of them go. Liverpool will be coming out any time soon. And we'll find out a little bit later who exactly they're going to be playing. Here's Wesley again, and he's done Man City. Could be the last season in the Champions League for Manchester City, depending on the outcome of the UEFA investigation into financial fair play. Do we expect much to happen with that, though?
I expect it could happen. I expect that at some point UEFA have got to make a stand. They've got to sort of make some sort of grand sort of gesture to say this isn't on. Yeah. It's sort of, if you let everybody through the gate, then eventually it's the dam's going to burst. So it's I don't know. I'm expecting them to draw Rotherham in this.
Rotherham, Burton and Gateshead United. In Group C with Manchester City.
I think there might be a token. There's Liverpool.
Group E.
There might be a token. There might be a token thing. There might be a token sort of ban. But I genuinely, who knows what UEFA are going to do?
There we go. Ian
Group
looking even more moist than what he was earlier. Not doing well for him. The combination of makeup and extreme lighting in the UEFA studio and Nyon there.
So that basically means Liverpool can't get Real Madrid.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that one.
Actually, really funny when we get Real Madrid in a minute.
But I think that means because Real and Barca are split up, I think that pretty much means that Real have got to go into groups A to D.
Okay. Even though Barca are in B, aren't they?
No, Barca Bayern are in. So Barca are in.
So here we go. Zenit are now out, which is the group that everybody in every other pot is going to want to go put into.
Or Chelsea.
We're definitely getting Real Madrid now. Now you said that.
I do feel like now you
No.
said
I'm going to stake my absolute wafer thin reputation on the line here and say Real can only be in one half of the draw.
Okay.
Which makes Atletico Madrid a lot more possible because
it makes it a lot more likely, does it?
I think so. But that's presuming, and I think what the graphics were saying before was. Is that? I have no idea who that is on telly. I think basically what it was saying, possibly, what they were saying is Barca and Real are the two teams because Liverpool will have a team who's assigned to them as well,
which is probably
Man City.
Yeah,
I think that's how it works. Because it won't just be TV, it'll be police in the UK, for example. What it does mean, though, is that Atletico could get Group E, which is Liverpool's group, Group F, not Group F because that's Barcelona, Group G and Group H. So they've got Liverpool, there's a 3-in-1 chance now of getting Atletico, in my mathematic head.
We're now watching lots of lovely clips of Virgil van Dijk, who is the UEFA Best Defender of the Year 2019. Plenty of tackles, but the main clip that they've just shown 2 or 3 times there was the raking 70-yard ball in the Allianz Arena to Sadio Mane, who then danced around Manuel Neuer, Joel, and put it in the back of the net. I totally believe that he's the best defender to have ever lived. I don't know a defender who does his defensive job so well and then does all of the attacking stuff so brilliantly and is so good on the ball. I don't know one that's ever played the game.
It's a big statement, isn't it? I'm trying to think now of names that...
Just say he's the best lad. That's the conclusion we're coming to.
I'm not going to put my neck on the line on that yet. I think by the end of his career, if he has another season or 2 like he did last season, I think that will become a kind of pretty indisputable point. But yeah, I mean, he obviously deserves this. That goal, by the way, the Mane goal, I feel like that sort of got lost a little bit in kind of all the madness of last season. I think that's one of the best goals I've ever seen for Liverpool. The one when Van Dijk passes it, and there's just so many parts of it which he makes look so easy, but there's the first touch sells Neuer completely. He's still got loads to do with that finish. He makes it look really easy. He's got 2 defenders to kind of avoid, and it's on his weaker foot as well. It's unbelievable. But yeah, on Van Dijk there, I'm convinced he's getting double figures for goals this season.
Well,
it feels like, because we obviously had that song, and he didn't score his second goal he scored on his debut, didn't he? And then he went months and months without actually scoring. And
he didn't score between the Everton derby and Wolves in December. So it was basically a year.
Yeah, so he ended up with 6 goals in all comps last season, but Wolves in December was his first one. Obviously got the 1 so far this season. But
I think the whole argument with Virgil about how good he is and his ability in terms of him being the best defender that's ever lived, possibly, is, I think you've got to put it in the context of almost the sweet spot moment that he's found himself being the human, epitome, embodiment of what Liverpool needed at that time. He's just everything Liverpool needed in a footballer, and Liverpool were on the periphery of being something really, really good, but they needed that thing that pushed them to an extra level, that player. And he's almost, in that sense, he's almost 3 players in one. That he just answered 3 or 4 of the issues that they had, screaming out loud to everybody that Liverpool were coming up short of. So in that sense, I think he's perfect for Liverpool.
Here we go then. Wesley Sneijder is drawing the balls for pot 2. So we might well be about to find out who Liverpool are getting.
We can actually get stuck into some sort of proper conversation about football. It'll be great.
They're not getting Tottenham Hotspur. So do that conversation now, Christian, while we've got time.
Tottenham are an interesting one, though, aren't they? Because they've started the season. So, I mean, you picked it out, Joel, didn't you, for the piece on Liverpool.com about just how bad Tottenham have been. The last 15 games, you've got 15 points.
Someone put up an actual league table. And I think, they're 3rd bottom in the entire Premier League for the last 15 games. That's not a short run of form.
That's
essentially 5 months worth of being essentially relegation form.
And they've got Bayern Munich.
But
Tottenham will play Bayern Munich. Be 2 good games then, won't they?
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
I don't think they've played each other at all in my memory.
No, not that I remember either.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all.
Coutinho back in England again as well.
Good away there.
No, that's a good shout, actually.
Next one out.
Now, Ajax.
Come on.
Right, give us your thoughts on this then.
I'm not sure that a lot of it can be broadcast, to be honest. I'd rather Liverpool weren't playing Ajax, put it that way.
I'll take this.
I would very much take Ajax. It would be 2
No, I mean, in the grand scheme of things,
Man City are getting these.
It's storied. It's a good trip, isn't it?
It's a good fixture in terms of European pedigree.
Defo Man City.
There's plenty of options for Ajax. I think all of the balls pretty much are still in there.
Yeah, I don't think there's another Dutch team in it, is there?
It's City.
Let's have a look.
It's got a
I tell you what, they put them things on tight, don't
I know. I suppose they don't want us to fall out, though, do they?
Who've they got?
City.
H, that's Chelsea.
Chelsea,
Ajax.
They went
it's a very Europa League.
They went there in 2013 and threw a scooter into the canal, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah, they went there for the Europa League final, and there was.
There's a bit of that when England went there in the last year or so, and where England fans are, Chelsea fans are never too far behind. Let's be honest.
Wesley's pulling the next one out, and it's Borussia Dortmund. This would be a story, wouldn't it?
I feel like I predicted earlier we're going to get these. So.
And I think I might be wrong or right here, but I mean I am wrong or right, aren't I? But I think that they might have to sort of go into.
Well, there's only 3 options.
Yeah, that's
for
what I mean.
them.
This is where the draw. I don't get the draw
Falls down
sometimes.
a little bit. Yeah.
I think it's going to be us.
Well, they can be in the second half because Bayern are in the first half.
Yes,
I think so. This could well be us.
That's what I mean.
Let's see if it's A. It's Liverpool. He's doing it now. F.
Zenit?
Manchester City.
Oh, Manchester City.
I think is it Manchester City?
No, it's Zenit, is it?
I feel like this is an over.
Barcelona.
Close.
Well done, everyone.
That'll be a good game.
The Usman
That'll be
Dembele
really good.
derby there.
That'll be a good game. We
That will
really,
be.
we should
All
be writing
attacking.
this down, really, shouldn't we? We've got absolutely everything you can't see, but we've got so many cameras and
Who
so
have we
many
got
things.
next? Come on. Benfica.
Right,
come on then.
That'll do.
We'll all take this. Come on. No, the Portuguese team, so they should have every option in there as well. Benfica.
Oh, City are getting these.
Let's get Ney out of this. Come
I
on.
think it was, if I'm right, it was 6 defeats out of 6 last season in the Champions League.
They were awful. They've been awful for a while as well.
And they've just lost João Felix.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
There's a lot of balls there, though.
There are a lot of Benfica balls.
Can't be having City getting these.
If it's C, it's Man City. If it's A, it's Liverpool. And then there's all the rest as well. Come on, Petter. G.
That is
Zenit. I think.
Stinking group.
Wow. Zenit and Benfica, the top 2 seeds in a group.
But there's always one like this. I think last season it was something like...
You had Lokomotiv, Galatasaray, Schalke and Porto in the
Porto,
same
yeah.
group. And it was awful.
Stinking group.
Chris, your Real Madrid thing
My
is
Real Madrid
coming.
thing is drying up here, isn't it?
It's Real Madrid.
Right.
Let's see what they get.
Can they be in Barcelona's...
I'm going to laugh so much when he pulls Liverpool out now, you know.
He's pulling out a lot of balls. Oh, no, hold on. He's only pulled out... No, he's pulling out more balls.
It's defo us.
No, there's only 2 there.
3, I think.
There's 3. I
Three
think I might be
balls.
right here. They normally flash up sort of what pots they can and can't draw.
Let's have a look.
Come on, my reputation
convinced
staked
it's
on
A.
this. It's not. It can't. It's A to D. Yes,
A.
there we go. Vindication.
Is that City?
No, that's City SC. That's Paris
Oh,
Saint-Germain.
oh,
That's nice.
that's an interesting one.
Very. It's,
Again, they've
it's
not had
all,
each other at all, I don't think, in recent
What
years.
will happen in that group is you'll get 2 absolute no-hopers, and it'll just be over by October.
Oh, so we could get...
Shakhtar.
Shakhtar. Oh, go.
Ooh.
Do we
This is
fancy
probably
a
our
trip
best- this
to
is
a
a-
war zone?
It's basically
the weakest team left
Hold
in
on,
this pot.
Shakhtar, Napoli, and Madrid. Oh,
It's the weakest team left.
but I think
so we want these.
if my theory about I've got no theory.
Let's just
anymore,
wait.
yeah.
Let's just wait and see what happens. You've gone down a rabbit hole here, lad.
If it's not these, we don't want Napoli or Atletico.
We
on
really
TV.
don't want Napoli.
So this could...
Please, Shakhtar would be something different.
Finding out.
I would like this. Come on.
Shakhtar.
E, please.
C. Manchester City.
You
I've got
joking?
Shakhtar and yet.
Every time.
Of course they have.
Shakhtar the next.
Same as last year.
We're getting Napoli.
They had Shakhtar then as well from pot
Napoli.
2, which means Liverpool will play either Napoli or Atletico Madrid.
No, it's got to be fit because Napoli can't play Juventus.
Yeah.
So it will be
So
Napoli.
Liverpool, Atletico Madrid.
No, it's going to be Napoli because Napoli can't play Juventus. So Napoli have got to be in Liverpool's group.
Ow.
Oh.
Ah,
So it's Napoli again. Napoli again.
we don't want that.
It's Napoli again.
Play them in pre-season as well.
Almost the worst possible draw, really, isn't it?
I mean...
And you got to think they were in. We had them and Paris Saint-Germain last season. Now they us and them are the first 2 seeds, so the group's going to be kinder.
It also means we can't get Internazionale
Yes.
from pot 3, which is without doubt the best team in pot 3.
What do we think of Ancelotti then? I mean, it's not the. Let's think about Edinburgh. Dan, you were there in Edinburgh. I mean, you can't read too much about,
No.
into that kind of thing, and it's only
No.
pre-season,
And-
but
Yeah, and they won't do what they've done in Edinburgh. Basically, they had 3 players cheating on the halfway line. Ancelotti's he's a ground-based Italian manager. He won't come to Anfield and do that. He won't do that in Naples. So it will be 2 dogs of games with probably a goal in them either side, which they were last season. Unless Liverpool finds a way to cut loose, which you never know.
In terms of why we're partly so disappointed with that draw is that Christian, Napoli is not a nice place to go to as an away football fan, is it?
It's not the friendliest sort of place. No, that's fair to say. I think I was there in 2010, and it can be a little bit touchy. We don't want to sort of tar every single supporter with that brush, but it can be a little bit touchy. It's not one of the more welcoming cities that Liverpool could have got there, and I don't think it was as welcoming. It's a nice city, and the surrounding area is fine, but when it comes to football, it can be a little bit difficult for away fans. So just also the fact that Liverpool have played them already, and it's for me, Champions League, looking at from a supporter perspective, is about seeing new places, or immersing yourself in different cultures. And I don't see why anybody would really want to sort of go back to Naples if they've already been in 2010 or 2018. On the pitch, it's a difficult game. In terms of Serie A, they were the third best attack last season in terms of XG, and then in terms of the goals conceded XGA, they were the second best. So they're very much a strong side. They've just bought Hervé Lozano, who's a very, very good player.
You wanted him this summer, didn't you?
I did. I think he's fantastic, Lozano.
And what you got to remember as well, and I know it's a little bit of a different situation, but they gave Liverpool 2 very hard games over the course of the group stage last season. They absolutely battered Liverpool for all intents and purposes in the Champions League and in the San Paolo. So
Klopp said that's the worst game we've ever played under him. So
don't get me wrong, it all went wrong. I think a lot of that was built around Naby Keita.
The pitch looked awful last season. It looked really bad. Like it was
a weird game. There was no fans in the stadium as well. It was very strange.
But again, another caveat to that is that last season we played them mid-round and the last game.
Yeah, it was in that run of awful games that we had.
They're really hard fixtures to negotiate. Now, because it's first and second seed, you're going to have them being our first game, and our first game after a run of 3. So it'll only get easier after them, is what I'm saying. So
pot 3 getting drawn now. Just to run through them very, very quickly. Inter Milan are first out. Liverpool can't get them. We've got Lyon, we've got Leverkusen, Salzburg, Olympiacos, Bruges, Valencia, and Zagreb.
All quite interesting.
They're interesting, but you don't want to be going to Naples and Zagreb in terms of travel wise. Naples is actually a bit of a trek in terms of for the team. It's not round the corner.
It's pretty much as far as you can go before you get to Africa.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all you need to know about that. What Liverpool need there is a Lyon, Bruges, a Salzburg, or a Bruges, I think.
Leverkusen would be...
Leverkusen, I'd always back Klopp against that. Is that Zenit? Zenit and Inter?
Zenit, Inter, Benfica. Oh, no, Barcelona, Dortmund and Inter.
Who can they get there? What would be that could be the group, that will be the group of death.
They get Leipzig or Galatasaray.
They can't get Leipzig.
Galatasaray
or Lille. So that'll be interesting. Bayer Leverkusen. I always fancy. I have no idea where his hand's gone. I think his head's fallen off.
He's gone on. Naples. The door to Naples has absolutely done him.
He's off to book his flight.
That always ran to the toilet in fear.
Stick with us.
All 3 of us. Absolutely brilliant.
Leverkusen. Right, let's have a little look at Leverkusen. I always fancy Klopp against the German side.
Yeah, I do. I've said that before.
They wouldn't be as good as Hoffenheim.
No.
So
Group D.
Lost one of their best players as well in Brandt last season. So get a bit of a closer look at Havertz.
That's a tough one. It has been confirmed to me that Dan's gone to the toilet.
Has he?
Yeah.
Wow. That group's really, really put the frighteners up. Fair play to the lad. He couldn't hold it in any longer.
Valencia are out. Valencia we take.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
As I said, what?
Arsenal beat them comfortably.
Yeah, they're no great shakes, to be honest. I'm going to have a look at the coefficients as well, because I do feel like Napoli... The UEFA coefficients are such a weird one, aren't they? Because they don't really reflect... Because they're over a 5-year period, it doesn't really reflect how good the team is now.
Yeah.
But Napoli were obviously pot 3, and Ancelotti was very, very annoyed about that.
Yeah.
Last season, but they've only just snuck into pot 2. Valencia will be Group H, which is Chelsea. Oh,
Chelsea have done well there.
What a group that is.
I don't know, you know.
Chelsea, Ajax, and Valencia. I'm just thinking about trips.
Yeah, it's a great group.
Amsterdam and Valencia. So who have we still got? Bruges is still in there.
Bruges,
Leon,
Salzburg still there.
Salzburg have just been drawn.
There's Salzburg, right? I think
be nice.
we all fancied a bit of Salzburg.
Owed one here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Very interesting. Obviously, Keita and Mane used to play for Salzburg. They've got that link up with RB Leipzig. Can they draw each other? I assume they can. That'd be a very interesting situation if they could. Leipzig and Salzburg, because one's essentially a feeder club for the other, even though it's not. It's not like that.
Dan's back, everyone.
Salzburg's about to get drawn here.
Chelsea got the best group ever.
Who've they got?
Valencia and Ajax.
Dan had a lot of water to drink before we came on air and really needed to expel it quite quickly.
Here we go, E.
Come on.
Salzburg.
Yes, get in, Salzburg.
Love that.
Schnitzel. Wigan.
We're going to Wigan on a European away. That was really good timing, that, wasn't it?
It is.
Oh, mate, up we got them. I think that's going to be a real laugh. Although I tell you what, though, it's two really good teams.
So I do think the way Salzburg play, they are a very expansive team, and I do think that will give an opportunity for Liverpool. So it feels like very low grade Bundesliga side. But to be fair, they did well in the Europa League the past couple of years.
I've had a look at the recent results as well, and in the last 2 games, I think I saw that they've won them competitive games as well. Mm-hmm. They've won 5 and 6-0. Which obviously shows that they're good going forward and everything like that. They've got a load of talented players, but they're not doing an awful lot of defending on a regular basis, are they? And they're going to come up against the best attack in the world, and that to me feels like 6 points. I think
there's got to be look at Man City's group there.
Manchester City, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Dinamo Zagreb.
But I don't think that's a bad thing for Liverpool, because they'll have to travel, and it's tough pitches.
As I also suppose. Maybe they see that group, think we're definitely going to get through it, and they start to concentrate more on Europe is the only thing that you can maybe think of as the season goes on, because there's no hope of them getting knocked out of this now, is there? If we're being honest, the best team that they can now face in the group is Galatasaray, probably, and it's unlikely that they're going to get them anyway.
Yeah, so, maximum points probably.
And you know what? As much as we say that Napoli and Salzburg are good teams and everything. That's a good group so far. We can't really complain at it, can we? No. As much as the Napoli trip might not feel like the best as a fan.
Well, Salzburg are now replacing essentially PSG from last season.
Well, that's
the upshot. Yeah. Someone's just come out there for Tottenham. Who was that? Did we see? Have you got too distracted by?
I'm looking at
the Wigan of the East.
I'm looking at the fact that Salzburg is home to Mozart, and you can actually go on a tour that shows you his house. So I'm sure Liverpool fans
everywhere
enjoying the nice away in Austria will be booking onto that. There's also a square called Mozartplatz Square, which I'm sure will.
Oh, it looks great.
Will be decorated.
Google that, everyone at home. Mozartplatz, it looks fantastic. Simon Mignolet is absolutely done for, by the way. Club Bruges have just been drawn out in the same group as Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain. So Europa League at best for big Saider Mig there. That's a shame, isn't it?
Yes, it is. He deserve better.
Tottenham got Olympiacos to go with Bayern Munich as well.
That's a tough group, that, for Tottenham. Olympiacos is a very hard place to go. That's an intense away. Although, again, if you're a Tottenham Hotspur supporter, Munich and Athens so far, Dan.
Well, this is it, yeah. Belters, really. And Chelsea as well. Ajax and Valencia. So feel like we've thrown a short straw a little bit, but you know, Austria for a European away, not the most common of places to go and experience. So I'm sure that'll caveat any unpleasantries we experience in Italy.
The Chelsea Valencia Ajax group is very Europa League, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is actually.
That doesn't feel like it should be allowed to be a Champions League group at this stage. I know that Ajax got to the semis last year, but
I don't know what the last group is then, if that's Europa League. That last group, so it's almost like a pre-season, like friendly.
Who's in there from top 3? Zenit, Benfica,
Accrington Stanley. I think.
So pot 4 is Lokomotiv Moscow.
Yeah.
Red Star Belgrade, because I refuse to say it in Serbian.
Crvena Zvezda.
Very
Come
good.
on.
Joel was better. Go on, give it a go.
You went Crvena. I said Crvena. I think it probably is Crvena.
I'm going to
come to a compromise. Come on, Christian. Now you say
Red Star Belgrade. Crvena Zvezda. There we go.
On.
Yeah, that'll do. Genk, Galatasaray, RB Leipzig, Prague, Atalanta, Lille.
We can't have Atalanta now.
Oh no, that's fair. Yeah, of course, can't have Atalanta.
That Napoli draw is the worst thing to ever happen to us.
ever.
Awful.
Yeah.
I'm all in
Genuine
on
question
Genk
for
now.
everyone: Do we think Barcelona can genuinely win the Champions League this year? And I say that based on the context of just how mentally scarred they've been by the past two seasons.
It's ruined them. It's ruined them. It feels like they're ruined.
I think that team is. I could fall on my sword here, but they look done for.
What they need, and to be fair, they've got the group for it. What they need is a steering win at the new camp in the first game, because I feel a little bit like that with Liverpool in terms of they needed that PSG game to sort of rouse them from Kiev and sort of go, right, there's the line drawn. I hate this phrase because of the connotation. We go again, but that's what it felt like with PSG. It was very much, look, there's a Big Verge just giving a handshake to Messi and just saying, let him out his pocket for the.
Ronaldo looked absolutely furious, by the way, sat between the two of them.
He did. But yeah, I just wonder if they need whether it be against Dortmund or who else did they get in their group? It was somebody really Inter. They have a really good home game, and it just sort of goes, right, okay, that's, we draw a line under what happened at Anfield. Maybe
Genk.
not.
So,
Genk for me, yeah.
Lokomotiv Moscow, Genk, Galatasaray, Leipzig, Slavia Prague. Joel, you've got the thing in front of you. Who are the rest?
We can't get Atalanta.
Lille as well.
Lille.
I think now that we didn't get
Red
Bruges,
Star.
I'm all in
You
on.
don't want Belgrade.
I'm all in on Genk or Prague. Basically.
Belgrade, Moscow, Istanbul.
None of them,
all
please.
feel quite far considering they've got to go to Napoli.
And Austria is quite far as well. So first one out is
Can't be
Atalanta,
Atalanta
which
again,
Liverpool
so-
will not be getting. So who are the lucky buggers that are getting a trip to Bergamo, Milan?
Chelsea.
There's always the last 16 who Liverpool get through.
Atalanta aren't getting through. Unless they get that mad Zenit group.
Do you know what? I'll probably go on record here and say they might.
I mean, it'd be funny if they get the Barcelona tour.
Because
They
Inter
can't
group.
because Inter's in it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's Group C.
Is that City?
That is City. So they might well get through.
That's
City. So not only
My
have
word.
they got the two easiest teams from the pot, but they've got the trip that we wanted more than anything.
I mean,
Who
you're being
did they
liberal
get?
with we.
Say that again.
You're being liberal with we.
Well,
you.
you were into the idea. Come on.
It's
Who did City get last season in the group?
Shakhtar, Leon, and
Leon.
Hoffenheim.
And then Schalke in the last 16.
Leipzig.
Leipzig. Leipzig drew Salzburg last season. I'm almost certain of it.
I'd rather not. I think they're probably the best team left in pot 4.
It wouldn't be that. They've got Nagelsmann there as well now, who obviously Liverpool played against.
Timo Werner.
Timo Werner, Nagelsmann as manager. Hoffenheim give it a decent account of themselves.
I'd say they're by far
In
the
the
strongest
playoffs.
team in that pot.
Yeah, you really don't, and to be honest, it just seems a bit boring.
Let's see. There's only 3 options. It might well be us.
No,
Oh,
G.
well, that's all right.
Is that that's the Barcelona group, isn't it? My word, is it the No, because that's in Dortmund. Oh, well, there we go. Leipzig have done it again. They've managed to somehow get
I have genuinely
Zenit,
no idea
Benfica,
who goes
Lyon, and
through that
Leipzig.
group.
That's just a coin toss for everybody.
So
Yeah.
that group there was Zenit, Benfica, Lyon, and now Leipzig, and it feels like they're all entirely evenly matched.
Yeah.
Lokomotiv Moscow.
Liverpool will almost certainly draw them in the last 16, whoever goes through in that group.
Rather not have these.
I think Leo's the best option for us now.
Genk. I'll have Genk.
Genk, yeah.
Come on.
Genk wouldn't be too bad.
None of this, please. None of Lokomotiv Moscow.
Are we thinking artificial pitches with these?
Might well be.
Just the
But also, it's
trip
an
as well.
awful trip.
Although I've never been to Moscow, and I'd be tempted. Just because I've never been to Moscow.
Well, let's see what they've got. It's not
not us.
Liverpool.
It's Group D.
The bald Russian man in the audience looks pleased with that.
That's
He's got Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen, and then Lokomotiv Moscow.
Free team league that really, isn't it? But
probably 2.
Yeah.
Really.
I'd be
Leverkusen
interested.
could cause them a problem, I think.
Quite like that Leon Bailey, Sparta Prague. Now we're talking.
We could do with these. Yeah,
now
this
we're
would be
talking.
alright.
True story. Drew Prague in 2011,
Yeah.
and somehow conspired to go via Berlin instead of just going to one of the greatest cities in the world. Just sat on a train for 4 or 5 hours. Just why not? Just why wouldn't you?
There's a fair chance of this. Five
5 to 1.
There.
Yeah,
Petr
1 in
Cech.
5.
We'd all take this, Petter.
Yeah. We forgive you for all those times you diddles and diddled us against Chelsea.
Let's see.
Very Group E. Oh,
It's not us, but Genk is still there.
is that the Barca group? Looking at his face, that's the Barca group. Yeah.
Yeah. The man from Slavia Prague is absolutely wetting himself with laughter because his team have just drawn into Milan, Borussia Dortmund and FC Barcelona.
Wonder what price they're going off to be bottom of that group.
Oh, they've been waiting for years to get back into the Champions League, and then he's going there, sat there laughing, going, "What was the point?"
Here's Lille.
Lille.
We'll take
I
Lille.
reckon this could be us.
It's. I mean, I'll tell you all the bars we want. You know, it's a great place. It's really.
There's
really
probably a thing
quick
with
on the
Paris
train.
Saint-Germain here, though, isn't there?
Possibly. I mean, I wouldn't like to say.
I'm still gutted we didn't get Real Madrid. Who have they got then, Lille?
Lille will be all right in terms of distance, but it's just it's
quite a good team.
They have got a decent team, but they have lost Pepe,
It's
and
not,
it's not
for
Liverpool.
us.
Oh, Genk is still there. Come on.
Genk are still there, but so are Galatasaray.
And so are Red Star Belgrade.
Oh my word! that's a good. Oh, Chelsea, Ajax, Valencia, and that was
If we
probably
end
my
up with-
ideal.
Oh, what a set of trips Chelsea have got there.
If we end up with two of the
Amsterdam,
same
Valencia and
opponents,
Lille.
I think that's probably recompense.
Genk, come on, Genk.
if it's not this, we're in.
Are we not worried Genk are a little bit too similar to Salzburg?
No,
That's
we'll have
probably-
Genk.
I'll take that
Lads,
all
if
day.
you're not having Genk, it means you're getting Red Star.
Yeah,
Or Galatasaray.
yeah. So that's
So forget that. We're all having Genk,
please.
please.
Yes, there we go.
Liverpool.
Didn't even-
Wow, where did that come
It
from?
just flashed up out of nowhere.
I told you this should
it's
happen
in there.
Wow, they didn't even show Petr Cech.
Because they can't be in Club Bruges.
Oh, it was automatic.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Okay.
So we've got Genk, really good.
Oh, that's
So
great.
Liverpool will play Genk, SSC Napoli, and
Salzburg.
Red Bull Salzburg.
That's absolutely fine.
That's a
That'll do.
really good group.
That's absolutely
It
fine.
feels totally manageable. The travel is not too far whatsoever. I think we're all really happy with that, aren't we?
I am delighted now. Actually, it started really badly with Napoli. What you've got there as well, you've got the potential of a banana skin against Salzburg away maybe, but Liverpool should be getting 7 points out of 9 at least at home.
The thing
it should be
about
9 out of 9.
The thing about the group is you'll know exactly where you are after 4 games, i.e. your 4th game being Napoli again, the second time around. So you're going to have 2 games to probably negotiate. You might even be through by then.
Yeah.
So you look at last season when we're playing Napoli on the last game, like I say, at Anfield, and it all feels a bit in the air. I think that's a lot easier to manage and negotiate.
What I'd say is somehow for every English side, it feels quite manageable.
Yes, very manageable.
City's group,
Who was
they
Tottenham's
couldn't have
14
asked for
there?
anything better.
Tottenham was Belgrade.
It was Belgrade. So Red Star Belgrade, Olympiacos and Bayern. They're 2 difficult places to go, Olympiacos and Red Star, but you would imagine the quality will shine through and they'll be all right in the end. Usually someone ends up with... Usually there is a proper group of death. That Barcelona one...
Is to a degree, but
To a degree, but I feel like Inter are not on the same level as the other 2, so it feels a bit disingenuous
Yes.
to call it that. People will do because they always look for one.
Yeah.
But somehow everyone sort of seems to have fallen in line a
it
little
feels
bit
like
there
you
to
can
me.
kind of, apart from G, but that's for a different reason, and maybe H to be fair, because I don't rate Chelsea. It feels like the G and H there. So Zenit,
They're evenly
Benfica,
matched.
Leon. Yes. So what I was going to say, I think groups A to F, you can fairly confidently predict who the top 2 are going to be in general. But then maybe not so with G and H. But I mean, I'm looking through the Genk squad here. I must admit, I didn't do as much homework on Genk as I did for other teams.
Well, you're going to have to do it now live on air.
We are.
Good news in the interim, Genk has its own zoo. Which, you know, I'm a big fan of zoos when we go to European aways.
Limburg Zoo, everyone.
Limburg Zoo. So make sure you visit that.
What's it looking like?
Liverpool
Has it got
fans.
good reviews?
It just says there's a large variety of different species, which
I'd hope there would be in a zoo.
which I kind of like to be through. Yeah.
Just turn up and it's just cats. Just loads of cats.
Including monkeys and mouflons. What are mouflons?
What's a mouflon?
I don't know.
Google a mouflon there, lad. What do we all reckon a mouflon is while he finds out? I reckon it's some sort of bear. What are you saying, Christian?
Like a jellyfish.
Like a jellyfish, Joel. What do you reckon a mouflon is?
Are we talking animals?
It's a sheep.
Well, he told you. They're advertising sheep at zoos.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a very good zoo, that, lad. If that's the selling point,
It's a
sheep.
subspecies group of wild sheep. There you go.
If that's your big sell, you're not a good zoo. I'm going out on a limb and saying that.
Oh, come on, Dan. Don't be bad to the mouflons. They're the ancestors for all modern domestic sheep breeds, in case you didn't know, yeah? So you learn something new every day, don't you?
it's. Do you know what? When you compare it to last season as well, that is a good draw in terms of, as Joel said, you swap PSG for Salzburg, and you've sort of swapped Belgrade for Genk. I mean, that's
Can't complain about that.
It feels like Liverpool don't even have to beat Napoli home or away, to be honest. They could just draw with them twice, win the other 4 games, and they are comfortably through and probably top.
Yeah, to be honest, they could
fine,
probably lose home and away to Napoli. I know that's a big call.
And they'd still get through.
Yeah.
They wouldn't finish top, but they'd still get
yeah.
through, you would imagine.
Yeah.
Which takes an awful lot of pressure off those games, because I think last season, in the away leg, certainly, because we all knew not what needed doing by the time it got round to the home leg, as it was the last fixture in the group. But for that away leg, it felt big when we lost there, because you're then going, and we've still got to go to PSG, and we've still got to go to Belgrade and play them at home, and it felt like an awful lot of graft last year. Whereas if for example Liverpool ends up playing Napoli first in this group away and get done 2-0, obviously it's disappointing that you've lost, but you're going, it's sound though, because we're playing Genk at home in the next one, so we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's enough breathing space in there, doesn't it, that everything's going to be all right.
I felt like that the season. So the season before last, when we got, what was it, Sevilla, Maribor and Spartak, and obviously we had the 2 draws against Sevilla, but then we knew that we basically beat Maribor twice. Obviously, we drew against Spartak away. I think we did 1-1.
So we got through that group,
but we knew that we just had to beat the Slovenian team twice, and then thrashed. Was it 7-0 at home to Spartak in the final game? So it feels like that again, where I don't think we will lose to Napoli, but if worse comes to worse and we had a shocker there, you still feel like you've got a bit of a kind of a cushion there with the other 2 teams. So.
Do we know when
we don't know the fixtures yet. They'll announce them in the next sort of hour or so.
Yeah, so I'm just. I suppose that's the thing to look out for now in terms of Liverpool is where do these Napoli games fall more than anything? Because for example, the first group stage game will be played on the 17th or the 18th of September. Now that could come from a run of that game, so it could be Napoli away, Chelsea away, MK Dons away, Sheffield United away. That doesn't feel great.
No,
to be
you're
honest.
quite like a home there, I think. A little banker.
Yeah, you wouldn't mind that at all. But you know, there's Man United at one point as well, where you know it's Man United on the Saturday and then Champions League on the Wednesday again. You don't want to be going to Napoli, or you don't want to. So it's going to be interesting to see where they fall in general, and how that works, because one of the things that could help Liverpool is if they have Genk first at home, and then or Salzburg at home, Genk away, you're probably getting 6 points, and you go into those Napoli games thinking, okay, 4 points, even 3, and they're pretty much home and hosed.
Yeah.
Whereas, as you say, yes, it is good if they get Napoli first, and it's not the end of the world if they get Napoli first and lose away, for example, because you know you've got it. Yeah. But it's just nice to have the points in the bag already and to know that it's coming.
I think depending on the way the fixtures run now, Liverpool can hopefully, after 4 matches, feel like if they're not already mathematically through, they pretty much are guaranteed, and then can just look to completely concentrate on the Premier League for a couple of weeks, because that's the luxury that, for example, Manchester City are going to have. Let's make no bones about it, they're going to win pretty much every game in this group, and if they don't, something's gone badly wrong. So by the time we get to the end of November, early December, will be able to pick whatever side they want in Europe, because it simply won't matter. The other 3 as well are of about the same level, so it's not even like City probably will have to secure first place. They should just be in first place comfortably by the time you get to match day 4, probably, which means that they'll be able to put all of their eggs in the Premier League basket, and therefore we sort of need Liverpool to be able to do the same thing, Joel.
Yeah, definitely. I've just seen a stat here as well, which kind of backs up what we were just saying about the travel thing. So Galatasaray on its own is a longer trip than our 3 trips combined. So talking about kind of all the extra travel and stuff, and there was some things that came out about the Cato injury of the Super Cup, saying apparently same thing happened last season, that he basically gets this like hip injury when we do long travelling, because like you're on planes all the time. It's not great. It's not great for your body and recovery and stuff like that. So Genk and Salzburg are very easy to get to, and
2.5 hour flight to Naples is probably about the furthest that we're going to be going, isn't it? That feels, in the grand scheme of things, like a really big plus.
The fixtures will be interesting as well, though, because on Saturday, at the moment, Saturday the 9th of November, Liverpool may play Manchester City at Anfield. On the 5th and 6th of November, there's match day 4 of the group stage.
So you really don't want Napoli away then?
You really don't, but at the same time, City could be in Lviv. 3 days before they come to Anfield. Yes. So that'll be a really interesting little bit of narrative to follow, because, yeah, their draw is relatively, well, it's very easy in general, and they will get through, of course they will, but it's going to be very interesting to see where that basically falls. So, you know, keep an eye on that. And I suppose also what's worth saying is that, look, I don't think any of us think Liverpool wouldn't get through most groups anyway. In terms of, you look at those groups, and if you plucked Liverpool in as the top seed in those groups, even the Dortmund into one, and Slavia Prague, you'd be going, they should get through, because ultimately Liverpool are the champions of Europe, and they should have they are one of the favourites for the competition, and with good reason. It's just about managing the games as easily as possible, because they have got more games. They've obviously got the Club World Cup in Qatar to play. They've already played 5-6 games already this season. So it's just worth keeping that in mind. It's not about if Liverpool go through, it's more about how can they manage this group, and it looks like a very, very manageable group.
I think the other thing to say as well about Napoli, as well, as much as we kind of had hoped not to kind of face the same team again this season, you think the amount of kind of months of work that they have to do in terms of analytics and watching games back of other teams they've never seen before, which they're going to have to do for the other two in the group, but they know Napoli, and I know that works two ways, because Napoli will know us, but they've got that kind of experience. They know who their best players are, they know who their style of play is. They'll be able to pinpoint where we went wrong. We went there last season and could barely string a pass together in the first half. So I feel like this Liverpool team in general is kind of quite good at learning from its kind of previous mistakes. So I think we can hope, although I think it's going to be close in both games, I think we can hope to see kind of a better performance than we put in there last season.
I'll tell you what, Carlo Ancelotti must be sick to death of Liverpool in the Champions League.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting point that Joe makes, because they don't make many mistakes now, this Liverpool backroom team, and it almost represents a challenge for them that they don't really face anymore, in terms of putting right, all right, a pre-season game in Edinburgh, but that will have hurt them, the way in which they went about the business that day in Murrayfield, and going to Naples and playing the way they did last season will be something that they'll look at extensively and say, well, okay, how can we manage that situation, because we know what to expect now. And I think we've got the beating of them at Anfield. I think the way in which Mohamed Salah just holds up Khalid Koulibaly and then defeats him in the way he does and sends Liverpool through. Okay, the game's tight and they miss a good chance at the end. I think there's just too much of Anfield about Liverpool on a European night that puts it in our favour. But for the away tie, I think you'll see a much different Liverpool side.
Christian, it feels like you get these sort of, it feels like narratives, especially in European football, like we just used to get Chelsea all the time under Benitez, and the different one, we got Real Madrid a few times when Ancelotti was there and then ended up playing them in the final. It feels like Napoli is a bit of a new one now. You just sort of, it's weird how it works out, because we talked before about the sort of balance in the draw of everything, but it feels like this is the new thing, and it's almost like a decent benchmark to measure your own progression, because you play them so often. We've been doing it in friendlies as well in Dublin and in Edinburgh. It feels like you can always test how good a Liverpool team is because you're playing the same side so often.
Yeah, I mean, I remember just going all the way back to 2010, and this is when they had Cavani, for example, and Liverpool, obviously two very different teams, but what it was a Liverpool side patched together by Roy Hodgson, clinging on for a 0-0 in Naples, and then basically one of the best individual performances I've ever seen at Anfield, when Steven Gerrard comes on at half-time and drags Liverpool to a 3-1 victory. But Napoli were the better side. They were the up-and-coming team, and Liverpool were the fallen European giants at that point. And then, yeah, you look at last season, it felt like they were fairly well matched. I think the mental and the physical toll that the first half of the campaign took out of Liverpool, you think it's easy to forget really how attritional that first half of the season was, with PSG, with Napoli, with Belgrade, but also the games against City, against Chelsea, Tottenham at Wembley, all of these kind of games, the 2-0 at Palace, even the way the season starts, it's clinging on to victories in the main, big firm defensive performances. So that 1-0 and that 1-0 feels like it was a team for Liverpool that was still finding its feet post-Kiev. It was a team that was winning a lot of games in the Premier League, but it was still a team maybe rediscovering its identity.
Yeah.
Now it feels like, and certainly in the pre-season game in this one, it's a team who was sort of, again, trying to rediscover or re-establish an identity. By the time Liverpool play, and the fixtures will be interesting to see when that will be, but I think by the time Liverpool play Napoli, they will have an identity, and they it should be far more interesting than or far more difficult for Napoli to cope with than Napoli's is to cope for Liverpool. What I would say is, it's one thing to be careful about. They've just signed Lozano. They've already got Insigne.
Dries Mertens as well, fantastic.
Callahan too. Well.
Callahan, they've got very, very good players there, and very, very good players who can play and exploit space in behind. So again, this talk about the high line, which is sort of quieting down because it was so good against Arsenal, but this talk about high line and Liverpool's new defensive shape, it'll be interesting to see when they play, because if it's earlier on and they're still not quite used to this way of defending, because let's not forget, Arsenal did that, create a couple of opportunities. So if it's early on in the campaign, then maybe that might be an issue for Liverpool. That's why probably I would say you maybe want, it'd be quite intense, but you probably want Liverpool to play Napoli back-to-back match days 3 and 4.
Just looking here as well, by the way, when we played Napoli at home and I think away last season, Fabinho, that was at the point when he still wasn't really kind of in the picture at all. We started that home game, we won 1-0 with the Henderson, Wijnaldum, Milner midfield, which everyone hates, and they were brilliant that night. They completely controlled the game, but you've seen how influential Fabinho was kind of in the second half of last season on that run to Madrid. So we are kind of a different team, like Christian said as well. So
we're now at the stage as well. The draw is obviously finished, but they're about to announce the UEFA Men's Player of the Year, and they're just doing little interviews with the nominees now. The nominees are Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and our very own Virgil van Dijk. Dan, it's got to be Van Dijk, hasn't it?
You would think so, yeah. I mean, he's the one who went to go on and lift the trophy and get a winner's medal. But in terms of influence over the team, we discussed it before, there's no one who's had a greater one on a side domestically and in Europe than Virgil van Dijk on Liverpool, I'd say, in the last 10 years. I wouldn't put him down as being solely transformative to a football team, but he has been a huge influence. And I think it's good as well to break that monotony of Messi and Ronaldo. They've dominated the Ballon d'Or for so long. Awards like this that they're so used to getting, and they are, the world stars and the flag bearers for the generation in many ways. As footballers, they will go down as two of the best that ever played the game. Certainly Messi, I think, is the greatest footballer of all time. However, it deserves to be Virgil van Dijk. It deserves to be the player who has come into Liverpool for £75 million, but carried it and shown everyone that he's probably worth double, treble that now in today's market value. And his mentality alone is for me what is a huge contributing factor to him hopefully being named shortly.
I love the body language between Messi and Ronaldo. It's sort of like, aren't we mates? It's like when sort of a mum has sort of got the fella that she's had the family with, and now she's got the new good looking boyfriend in town, and they've sort of got to
they've gone for
get
a
along
pint together,
yeah, exactly,
to try and get on.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's really awkward.
Yeah, and then they don't know, and then there's Virgil who's just going to take it all away anyway in about.
Which one of them do you reckon's better at darts?
Ronaldo. Definitely Ronaldo.
Yeah.
No, he's all about precision. He's all about precision. We can't actually hear what they're saying, but Ronaldo's got them in stitches.
Which doesn't seem like him.
No, it feels like it's very forced
rehearsed.
Again, it feels like it's a family function, and you've just got to laugh at what the new boyfriend's saying.
Oh, Salzburg are happy there. Tweeting pictures of Keita and Mane.
It's going to be interesting that from a Michael Edwards perspective.
Were they there at the same time? I don't think.
No. I'm pretty sure they weren't.
I'm not sure they crossed over.
But, they're talking to big Virgil. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see from a Salzburg perspective as well, how ultimately, some of the good players that are coming through. Because it's just going to be, very interesting to see who the next big thing from Salzburg is, because that's almost become a thing now. We're just waiting to find out the results of this, I suppose, aren't we?
Aye. It seems to me, because they lost the Ballon d'Or last year as well, didn't they, to Modric, and neither of them are probably going to win it this season. It's likely to be Van Dijk. Does it feel like the sort of era of those two is obviously they're still brilliant, but does it feel like their domination's over?
Yeah, I think so, and I think time's got to do that. I think at the age they are now, I think it's just it's natural. It's nobody is immortal, and ultimately Messi and Ronaldo are not immortal as much as they played about it.
They've just asked Messi about the 4-0 last season, which is where the laugh came in, I think.
But
it's not really funny for him, is it?
It's also about the teams that they play around, isn't it? And I think, well, obviously Ronaldo is at a new one, and it's still strong, but it's not the Real Madrid team of 3-4 years ago that won 3 Champions Leagues on the trot, 4 out of 5. This Barcelona side is probably one of the weakest that Messi has played in as well, I would imagine. So as much as they are two incredible individuals and are most likely the 2 best players who've ever played the game, they still do rely on those around them to help them win the trophies that then justify them getting the Ballon d'Or or getting the UEFA Best Men's Player Award.
Yeah, 100%. But I think that Messi in many ways is his own individual case. I mean, he's sort of embodied Barcelona as a football club now for over 10 years, whereas Ronaldo's very much moved around with the brand of Ronaldo, hasn't he? So I think Lionel Messi has been the person who has carried teams on his back in the way that we've seen with Steven Gerrard, for example, down the years. But he is, like I said before, he's the best footballer I've ever seen in terms of just his sheer weight of goals, his variety of goals, his influence on a football team. And they can't do it alone. They've needed good players around them.
And he's won it. So there we are.
There we go.
Won it.
Correct call, really, isn't it? Virgil van Dijk.
UEFA Best Men's Player of the Year, to give it a really clunky title that UEFA give him, but there we go.
Isn't it brilliant though that he's ours?
Yeah.
That we're at this point now where everyone's going, yeah, he deserves that. He is the best player in men's football right now.
And what a lot of people are forgetting is that a lot of people scoffed, and you know, I wasn't completely sold on Van Dijk at the fever and the pursuit that Liverpool engaged in, and the fact that you know, we all sort of can be susceptible to losing our heads a little bit during transfer windows. And you know, they don't get Van Dijk in the summer of 2017, and you're just saying they need a centre back. Why aren't they getting a centre back? Why don't Liverpool sign a centre back? I remember being at Wembley reporting on the 4-1 at Tottenham when he hauls off Dejan Lovren after 30 minutes, and you're just going, why didn't he sign a centre back? You know, you could have fixed this year, and what's gone on? And he was just like, you know, name me 500 centre backs who were better than Dejan Lovren, and at that time it was like, I'll name you 501 if you want. But ultimately, Klopp knew and the club knew that in 6 months' time they were going to get a transformative defender and one of the best players in the world.
People forget, don't they, that you know he could have went anywhere. Chelsea were a bigger club
City
at the time. City wanted him. United were sniffing around him, and I remember at the time thinking it was comparative to when Ferdinand goes to United, in that you can't assign a player at the age of 26, 27. This is the move for him. So what it represented on a broader scale was him saying, no, this is the project I'm coming to, because I believe I can come and win the Champions League with Liverpool. And it sort of gave everyone a big boost. And like I said before, when we signed him, I said the only thing he has to do is carry this fee. He's got the ability, because I remember watching him at Anfield when he played for Southampton about a month before, and people were trying to lambast his performance and mock him and say, oh, you know, he's on the end of a 3-0 hiding and stuff. But I thought he was brilliant that day.
He was.
I was in row 5 of the main stand, and he did not shut up. He had too much to do in terms of marginal bang average players around him, but his organisation was supreme, and I thought if you put him in this team, it knocks them up a level. So yeah, massively deserved from Virgil.
Right, just before we go then, I want us to go around and all talk about what we genuinely now think Liverpool's chances of winning the Champions League for the second year in a row are. So Christian, we'll start with you.
I think they've got a very, very good chance of winning the Champions League.
Do you make them favourites?
No, I make Man City favourites still, just because of the depth of squad that they've got, because of the talent that they've got, and also because I think eventually Guardiola is so possessive, and he's just that type of personality where he needs it. He's like Schmeichel in the ring. Do you know what I mean? He needs it, and I think he will do his utmost to get it. And you look at the past 2 seasons, he got knocked out by a very good Liverpool side who just blew them away in the first leg, and he basically got knocked out by VAR. He got very unlucky. He got very unlucky as well in the first leg.
Battered Ajax after that, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So if someone at home could Photoshop that photo of Guardiola looking devastated about the VAR, but put Gollum from the Lord of the Rings face on it, then we'd really appreciate it.
But I put Liverpool's second, third favourites, and one of the main reasons for me is that teams on the continent can't live with Liverpool and City at their style at the moment. How do you outscore a team who are fitter and faster than you, and you can't? It's different if it's possession based. If Liverpool and City were possession based, then there's a way to disrupt that. If Liverpool played long ball and Man City played long ball, there'd be a way to combat that. But when it's about speed and fitness and stamina, teams can't get beyond 70 minutes against them.
Joel, how likely do you think it is that Liverpool win the European Cup again in Istanbul?
I'm very similar. I think they've got a really good chance. Obviously, statistically, reaching 3 finals in a row is unlikely, but I think, kind of looking at the other teams there and where we are now, I don't see any reason why they can't go there again. I look back to the first leg at Barcelona last year, and I remember reading something, I think it was in Si Hughes' book, basically saying that afterwards Messi was exhausted. He completely collapsed on the turf, and you saw him smashing the floor there when they didn't score a fourth.
Yep.
And they were completely gone. They'd beaten Liverpool 3-0, but Liverpool were, I think, if not the better team, they at least matched Barcelona. They obviously didn't deserve that scoreline, and that's Barcelona at their best at the Nou Camp. And they were completely gone, and obviously Liverpool managed to turn it around in the end. But I think you can have a lucky game against Liverpool like that, and you can win 3-0 over 90 minutes. Doing it over 2 legs, nobody's done it since Klopp's come in. You've got to be near enough perfect, and for Liverpool to have a really bad day twice to have any chance. So given the group we've got, I expect us to get through that comfortably, and then this team have just got so much collective experience now. They know that even if they're 3-0 down in the first leg, which we don't want to happen again, they can do it against a team that's got Lionel Messi and Suarez in it. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if we're in Istanbul in May.
Dan, I make us definite favourites, to be honest, to at least get to the final. You get there and it's a one-off occasion. It can go either way. But for me, our record in Europe under Jurgen Klopp is unassailable. No one's come close to anything like that since he joined us, and I struggle to imagine which team puts us out. As Joel says, if we've already beaten that Barcelona team from 3 goals down, if we've already beaten Manchester City in the fashion that we did, if we've already completely wiped out AS Roma in the first leg of a semi-final like we did on the way to the 2018 final in Kiev, I just look at it and think, no one's beaten us till we get to Turkey. And then, one-off game, maybe Salah goes off injured again, something like that happens. We come up against City in the final and they're just marginally better on the day. Yeah, maybe that could happen. But to get to the final, I put us top above everyone else.
I'll be amazed if we're not in the last 4. And from there, you don't know then what happens. You've got to look at another Man City draw, for example, and then all the stuff that comes with that, and then it's the context of a game standalone over 2 legs, and anything can happen in that, and we've seen that. I think what bodes really well for this Liverpool team is the concept of momentum. So the longer the season goes on, the better this side gets, barring the little knock-off that they've usually had around January, February. But when the Champions League restarts again around March time, they're usually picking up the stride again. So it all just seems to be a bit of a sweet spot in terms of balance, in terms of momentum for this side. So I'd be staggered if Liverpool don't reach the semi-final. And I think by that time, they're usually riding the crest of a wave then. We've seen last season as well, they're able to balance both the league and Europe. They got to 97 points last season and won the European Cup. Now you could argue that is a better achievement than winning the league solely on 98 points. I think it is. I think if you're talking the sake of a point and going on and winning the Champions League, then I think Liverpool's achievement's greater. I'll stand by that. And I don't think any Manchester City fan who's being genuinely authentic can argue the point. So I think they've got to harness all of that experience that they've collectively gathered. They've got to get on that momentum. They've got to get on that wave. And like you've all said, I don't see who stops them then, at least to the semi-final stage. But I will caveat that with the fact that anything can happen over a two-legged encounter.
There we go, anything can happen, but Liverpool are the champions of Europe, and they've got a group that sets them up quite nicely to go into the 2019-20 season and dream about winning it again in Istanbul come next May. Liverpool will play KRC Genk, FC Salzburg and SSC Napoli. Liverpool.com will be covering absolutely every angle of Liverpool's European journey, as well as the Premier League. We launched our website about 6 weeks ago, and it's going really, really well. We're very happy with it. So if you have watched this video and enjoyed it, feel free to check the site out. There's loads of really, really good writing on there. For now, though, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and all the best.